On today's episode of the Wild Party Podcast, I'm joined by Dr. Lior Lewensztain, founder and CEO of That's It, the clean label snack company behind those iconic fruit bars with just two ingredients, fruit and fruit. What started at local farmers markets has grown into a national brand sold in Whole Foods, Costco, and even Starbucks. In this conversation, Lior shares the real story behind the bar, including early production challenges, scaling under pressure, why storytelling matters in marketing, and the importance of keeping it simple. If you're ready to change how you think about snacks, sustainability, and building a purpose-driven business, this episode's for you. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the Wild Party Podcast, where we celebrate the visionaries behind vegan, ethical, and sustainable business. In each episode, we'll dive deep into their journeys, uncovering the why behind their mission-driven business. I'm your host, Stephanie Lahart. Tune in with me for passionate discussions about overcoming challenges, innovative marketing strategies, and the power of using business as a force for good. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking guidance or a conscious consumer wanting to support impactful brands, join us as we explore the stories behind the businesses that are changing the world for the better. Let's get the party started. And today's guest is someone who saw a problem and decided to fix it himself. His name is Dr. Lior Lewensztain. He is the founder and CEO of That's It Nutrition. It is a wildly successful plant-based snack company that is known for their clean, simple, no junk fruit bars. We are so excited to have you on the show. Let's get right into it.
Thanks for having me.
So I have to tell you a little backstory, first of all. Your branding is so good that when you got booked on the show, and then I saw the products because I went right to your website.
Okay.
I looked at the bar and I said, oh my God, I know this product. And not only that, I was like, I love this product. I didn't even realize it because I get so many emails these days. When I first saw the name, That's It, I was like, okay, another product. But it was the visual packaging, nailed it. I'm like, I know these bars. I've eaten them. They're delicious. Let me tell you how I first found you because it's a funny story. I go to a lot of sober morning raves by a group called Daybreakers.
Uh-huh.
They have them in LA monthly now again, but they're in a national group. They're all over the country, and they always have sponsors and partnerships and healthy snacks and drinks for us in the morning. Because again, it's basically a sober rave, and that is where I first found your product.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've been working with them for a number of years now across the country. So again, just trying to get people to start their day healthily and provide some fun snacks for those kind of environments.
Yeah, I found that was so funny because I'm like, oh my God, I am your people. I'm literally the group you're trying to target because yes, we go to these healthy morning parties and sometimes they do have fresh fruit, but you know what? I'm on the dance floor and I got two hands. One of them has my phone. The other, I don't know, it's usually like holding hands with someone because it's that kind of event. And I don't have time to hold an apple or banana or somewhere on me. And there's only so much room in my bra. I can't tell you how many times I've walked around one of those events with your fruit bars stuffed in various parts of my clothing that I will eat as I get tired and just, exhausted from dancing all morning because it's like a 2 or 3 hour party. So, okay, again, this is not the Stephanie show, but I thought that was so funny.
No. But that's exactly the reason why we created the concept in the first place, right? Was to make it more convenient and more portable to get your daily servings of fruit. So however, whatever lifestyle you have, wherever you go, we really wanted to take the concept of fresh fruit and create a more portable format for them. That's why we started in the first place.
Exactly. And you nailed it. And I'm going to say this again. I'm usually the person that is not the first one to pick up something like what I would call a packaged fruit product like that because I've been burned in the past. Didn't make me feel very good. And I remember the first bar I had from your line, it was a strawberry banana fruit bar.
No, funny.
All fun and games aside, we all know the entrepreneur journey is one that is a journey. And sometimes, there's a lot of steps along the way that we just don't prepare for. So take us back to the beginning because I want our audience to really understand that you're not some doctor sitting in a white tower who graduated medical school. And, we all think doctors make tons of money immediately. It was while you were in medical school that you decided, you know what? I'm already seeing holes in this system. I don't think
Yep.
I'm setting people up for success, which I totally agree. Tell us what sparked this idea in you.
So, you don't study a lot of nutrition in medical school, unfortunately, but um, I came across the numbers that only a third of Americans got their daily servings of fruit, and this was 13 years ago, 14 years ago. So that really kind of stuck in my mind, and I wanted to make a change. I decided to actually go back to business school after medical school because I wanted to really create a product and a format where people can consume fruit in a more convenient format. So we did a lot of R&D, looked at the market, and there really wasn't anything that was solely focused on fruit. The bar category was really starting to come up at that time in terms of nutrition bars. And I thought it was a great delivery system for fruit. So we whittled it down to just simply two ingredients. We don't add any sugars. There's no preservatives. It's simply the two real fruit. We don't use purees or concentrates or juices, which I know a lot of products use. We wanted to provide the real deal, but in a package format. And so we started in farmers markets locally here in LA. And we were able to really see very quickly that people were reacting very well to it, and the product had legs. And fortunately, we had applied to a Whole Foods program that was running at the time, where we were one of four companies that were selected to roll out nationally across Whole Foods. So we went from a very, very small company in farmers markets to Whole Foods in a matter of months. And we just really haven't looked back. We've been able to get a lot of products out there and different product lines. But that was kind of how the concept all started.
Yeah, that success thing. People always want the big success, but you really have to be prepared for it when those orders come in. We call that the
Yes, you
Oprah
do.
effect.
Yes, you do.
Because that was the big complaint about being on her show for people. It was like, I was not prepared. Okay, but back to you. So you said we, all the way home. We did the research and development. Who was the we in the beginning?
Oh, it was really just, I mean, I say we as the collective we in terms of like the company, but it was really just getting started. It was myself that was starting it at that point.
Oh, but I heard that your wife Jessica had a big hand in helping you out from the beginning as well.
She kind of helped at farmers markets, but that was really about it. No,
That
she
is
she's been
support.
she's been an amazing support the entire time, and yeah, no, she's my biggest fan. But from the business perspective, yeah, she had her own job to do, and so I kind of branched out and started running this thing.
If you guys are watching the video on YouTube right now, you will see Lior just blushing away, which is adorable as hell when he talks about this. I just wanted to bring it up because the entrepreneur journey, again, is one that is usually, there are people that are in the background saying, hey, we
Yeah,
should try this. I don't know. Let's go launch a fruit bar. Let's see what's out there. Let's see if anybody wants it. But I think it's a great testing ground, like you said, to do things like farmers markets because you have real world feedback
that's right.
immediately.
That's right.
Yeah. So when you decided then, okay, we have this bar idea and because you started with bars, right?
We did. Yep.
Okay. And you really started going to the farmers markets and seeing it had legs. What was the next step then as far as like getting this produced in mass or in larger quantities? Because it's one thing to show up at a farmer's market with, I don't know, a couple of dozen of products maybe you made from home. But what is it like then to take it to that next level of we could possibly service stores or bigger locations?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if we were just getting ahead of ourselves, but we never did the garage or kitchen kind of thing in terms of creating small batches and getting started there. We had already gone and found a great partner that we still work with today in terms of manufacturing. They had a lot of experience in the bar space, so they really helped us out. But we were already kind of prepared in terms of production to scale up as needed. But that said, we did. They were very, very small quantities at the start. And there was obviously refinement that happened along the way just to be able to scale. But we were fortunately able to find a partner from the get-go that really helped us get started, and we've expanded since then, but just due to volume, of course.
Oh, okay. That's fascinating. Yeah, because again, sometimes we like to think, do we need to start, just ourselves, or can we go to that next level immediately? So it sounds like you did, which was really great.
Yeah.
So then talking about the product development itself, so you were looking to fill this need that you saw that people weren't getting enough fruit in their diets, they weren't eating healthily. What did that research or what did that production product process look like for you where you were trying different products and trying to figure out what would be the best delivery? Because like I said in the beginning, I've been burned by a lot of fruit bars and all of these so-called healthy snacks that I
Yeah.
will buy. And I always look for stuff that's vegan. And then I'll look at what's in the ingredients or the nutritional facts. And I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. And oftentimes I would eat those products and I would still feel hungry afterwards, which made
Yeah.
me angry.
So yeah, I mean, we knew we wanted to keep the product integrity, right, in terms of the fruit. So we didn't really want to manipulate it, add natural flavors or colors, or do any of that. We wanted to keep the real fruit. So we took dehydrated fruit, we removed the moisture, and we're able to put it into a bar format. Now, as simple as that is, given that there's only two ingredients, it's actually quite difficult to do. Oftentimes, simplicity is a little bit harder. So it did take us some time to really kind of refine and get down to a product that we could sell at a Whole Foods. But we were able to do so, and we were able to, very, very quickly learn how to operate at a national level, both from an operations standpoint, from a marketing and sales standpoint. And so we were able to leverage that and go into a lot of other great accounts, the following years.
Yeah, so you are at all these major food stores now. I know you're in Whole Foods, you're in Costco. I think you're launching Walmart this week, correct, with the Crunchables?
We are. Yep. Very excited about that. It's a brand new line that really kind of takes us in a different direction in terms of texture and a different age group. And so we were very excited to see the quick response that we've gotten to that product line and to get it out there. We're excited to see what consumers think about it.
Yeah, well, I personally love the Crunchables. I'll let you know I'm already putting them on my salads. They were like
Oh,
awesome. I was
they're
like,
very versatile. They really
so
are.
good. Yeah, and I'm
Yep.
a crunch girl. Like for me to relieve stress, chewing is like my my habit. So anytime I have a crunchy snack, I was like, "Oh, this is great." But again, I was even hesitant. I'm like, "I don't know. Let me give it a shot." They might be like everything else I've tried, but really delicious. Again, I am putting them on my salads. Full disclosure, they did send me a box of snacks, so yes, I am trying them all. Okay, so you have this, you have your production going now and you're seeing the market is like really there. What were some of maybe like the early challenges that you came up against when you were deciding to do this? Because right now I
Yeah.
have to tell you, you're making it sound way too easy. Give me some of the
Well,
nitty
it
gritty.
definitely wasn't easy. I mean, there's a lot of headaches along the way, but and we've learned from our mistakes, big and small. Really, just scaling was a challenge because we didn't start regionally and kind of slowly grow. We kind of went 0 to 100 fairly quickly in terms of being nationally in Whole Foods, and you can't really make mistakes at that point, right? Because you're in Whole Foods. So we really had to. It was a very steep learning curve how to operate on a daily basis like that, and fill all their orders and be able to scale. That was probably the biggest challenge that early on. And it was really being, one of the lessons learned was really being open to being able to pivot. I think that's early on for entrepreneurs, it's tough because you really believe in the product or the idea and you really want to make that happen. But sometimes you have to really be open enough to shift even when you think it may not be the right way. But to be able to kind of go a different direction. And oftentimes that can lead to even better opportunities. So that was definitely a lesson learned, especially early on.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's something that you still have to navigate in today's world because we have things called supply chains and
We do.
interruptions and,
We
you
do.
know, the current landscape of I'm not even going to say the word because everybody says it
Yes.
right now. I'm gonna edit
We
that
do
part
it
out.
every day.
Yep, they're just
We deal with that every day. But and that's just, growing pains along the way. There's always going to be things that come out of left field. But then you start to build teams, with people that you trust and that you know what they're doing, and they are able to kind of help absorb a lot of the headaches that we deal with on a regular basis.
Absolutely. Having a team is important, and building one smartly from the beginning is also very important. So you did mention, that having a product that is simple can sometimes be very difficult because when we
Yeah.
do have specifically what we call a shelf-stable food product, the reason that there is a laundry list of chemicals in these other products is usually because to maintain, freshness and again, shelf stability and being able to be a product that can be around for a while, maybe not need refrigeration and things like that. It's very complicated. So,
Yep.
did you think that your background in medicine helped you understand that more than maybe, somebody else starting out in this business? Because let me put it this way,
Um,
because you understand how to read chemicals, like, did you understand that more?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped. It gets a little bit more into the science of food, but wanting to kind of take food as medicine, that kind of approach right from the get go, we could have gone the route of adding preservatives in there and utilizing much cheaper ingredients, like you mentioned, whether it's flavors, colors, or even in lieu of real premium fruit that we use, we could have gone with purees and concentrates, but those are the fruit roll-ups, the gummy bears. We didn't want to do that because you don't get the nutritional profile, right? And those already existed. We wanted to create something new where you really do get all the nutrients and vitamins from real fruit, but you don't need a lot of the other stuff that a lot of other companies put in there. And that is difficult to be able to find a way to do that. It's much easier to just create a formula with 50 ingredients where it's the same exact thing every time. And yes, whether it's shelf life, whether it's cost, which drives a lot of that, oftentimes those are much cheaper and easier to handle, right? And more accessible. So for us, we deal with nature every day. Whatever nature gives us in terms of the fruit is what we get. Sometimes the fruit's a little sweeter, it's a little more tart, but that also talks to the integrity of the product and the fact that we are really providing the real fruit and not just a puree or a concentrate or juice.
Yeah, exactly. And it is funny if you ever do, because I read every single label. It always cracks me up when you see that little byline at the bottom that says, contains 10% real fruit juice or whatever. It's probably
Right.
2% now on these products that label themselves as some kind of fruit product. And you're like, that is not fruit. And nothing about
Yep.
that says fruit. And also when they say something like it's like a product that's maybe supposed to be tangerine, and then you look and like there's no tangerine in it, but there's always pear concentrate.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
pear concentrate is literally in everything.
They use a lot of concentrates again because they're cheaper. They're byproducts of processing. There's sugars built into it, so they use it for flavoring. But we don't believe in that. We think that the fruit should actually talk for itself. The natural flavors that are out there, that's an ingredient in itself, but there could be potentially 100 ingredients within that one ingredient that aren't disclosed. So we really try to educate about that. That's a really big kind of piece for us in terms of letting consumers know that a natural flavor is not necessarily natural. It may start out that way, but then it goes into a lab with other chemicals, and what you think is one natural flavor ingredient could be 100. That a lot of consumers don't know that, and so we try to educate about that. As we're preaching, healthier lifestyles and really just cleaner labels. All of our product lines have anywhere between 1 and 6 ingredients. That's it, right? So hence the name, of course. That's where it comes from. But that name gives us our guardrails in terms of when we do create innovation. We need to stay within minimal ingredients, the transparency that comes with that. as well as real ingredients and not utilizing things that, really shouldn't be in there. So it kind of helps us stay in our lane, if you will.
It keeps you honest on the
It
journey,
does.
right?
It does keep us honest. Yep.
I did watch your promo video that's on YouTube talking about the origin story a little bit, which is really funny because you show a little lab scene in it where it's like the
Mhm.
mad scientist lab. Um, but the frightening thing is that's kind of like what it looks like. I feel like in food production for real, where there's no actual
Yep.
food in what people are eating. Like I recently just had to go into a new client's office because I'm doing marketing work for them. And I walk in there like, oh, we have snacks and drinks. And you know what their snacks were? It was
What's that?
all the processed chip products. And I'm not even going to say their name because I'm not giving them free promotion. Processed chips and processed sodas and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. Oh, yeah, take whatever you want. We have I'm like, absolutely not. Like, not only do I not care if it's free, you couldn't pay me to ingest that stuff because it
Yeah.
is literally a toxic chemical compound. So when you said something earlier about, your supply, like getting your suppliers and sometimes things would taste a little different because that's nature. How are you navigating that? Like, because you are looking for a premium quality fruit product at all times. Where are you finding that? And how do you then manage, the fact that maybe some batches do taste a little different?
We're more than fine with the batches tasting differently. If you have our apricot bar, it's going to taste different this season to next season because if you went to the supermarket and had apricots, that's the same way it would taste, right? So we actually endorse the fact that we have that variation in flavor because that talks to the authenticity of our product. We source from all over the world in terms of fruit. And so, there are going to be variations between different varietals of fruit, but we really believe in the simplicity, and we try to get the most premium and stay within certain flavor profiles to be able to keep it as much consistency as possible. But we do like the fact that from season to season you do have different tastes of the fruit. It can be sweeter, it could be more tart, but we also take the seasonality out of fruit, right? So now you can have a lot of fruit year round versus just in season. And so, that you can take it with you wherever you want to go.
Exactly. And, I think that also makes it a little bit more special. It's like a fine wine of a certain vintage year. It's like, oh, did you have That's It from 2025? The peach was amazing.
That's
And then you
funny.
go on this hunt for the rest of your life. And like, we have to find that one again. Um,
That's funny.
I think of stuff like that because I'm always thinking of marketing. It's like, oh, maybe we make like a certain, profile that is like a limited edition collector's edition. But no, we don't want
There
to
you
do
go.
collectors. We want people to eat this stuff. It's good for you. Eat your daily fruit. We all know that. Okay, so let me talk to you a little bit more about when you were scaling. I did read that specifically, like with Starbucks, when you were trying to suddenly fulfill their needs or their orders, that it was a little tricky. So, how did you manage that? Like, how do you manage when you get orders like that and you're not prepared?
I think you're referencing it wasn't tricky on a regular basis. They actually came to us. There was a promotion that they were running, but we weren't made aware of it. And so our product was one component of this kind of lunch promotion that they were doing. It was supposed to run for about a couple of weeks. It was very, very successful. And so after a week or two of it running, they called us and said that they wanted a very, very large quantity of product by the following week. And we made miracles happen and we were able to deliver. So, but that's really a testament to the partners we had at the time, both on the supply side and the operation side. We were all able to kind of move very, very quickly. And that's another thing in terms of, growing pains, being able to be nimble is very, very helpful. You being able to be set up that way, so that way, if opportunities arise or there's challenges, you can quickly shift and adapt to it.
Yeah, and it's totally the adaptability that gets people. It's like you either adapt or you just die when you are
Yep.
launching your own business. There's no two ways about it. But when you were then deciding, okay, so when you were creating your product in the beginning, now we look at the packaging and we look at the messaging and everything looks perfect. And it looks like, overnight you just became the success. But along the way, give us something maybe funny that happened that you weren't expecting, or maybe something really scary that happened that you also weren't expecting.
Um, Scary or funny that came along the way. I'm sure there was a zillion times where that happened. Um, I mean, way early on, this is before we even knew what we were doing. We had a very, very small office, and all of a sudden, a big kind of 52-footer showed up, and we had this, it might have been our first pallet that we were shipping out. But we had no pallet lift, no lift gate or anything like that. So we had to figure out how to get this big, heavy pallet onto the truck without any kind of forklift. So, things like that where we're like those uh-oh moments and, you try to figure out what to do. And you really have to kind of think off the cuff. But it just every day kind of brings different challenges, whether it's, new product launches and trying to get everything there in time. Sometimes it's out of your control as well, right? Whether it's a logistics issue or even sometimes the retailer, they're a little late. So you're constantly dealing with these challenges and trying to get it to market, and make sure that the product is on the shelf at the end of the day.
Yeah, not only is it on the shelf, but it's getting off the shelf and into people's hands and into their bellies as well.
That too. That too.
Because, we're dealing with a problem that's very real in the whole world, which is like we have a lot of food waste. We create a lot of products and a lot of food, and a lot of it just doesn't get utilized and gets thrown away and into landfills and like that. So do you really see something like that's it, solving that problem in a lot of ways where we're eliminating food waste because there is something now that is so easy to fulfill these nutritional needs? Like, was that intentional as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can look at different areas for that. The fact that we have a very long shelf life really does aid with that. Whereas, fresh fruit, as much as we love it, it has a much shorter shelf life. So, and there's a lot more perishability to it. So, yes, I mean, with the fact that we're 24-month shelf stable, that's a really long time for fruit, right? And so, if you're looking at, for example, K-12 school systems, they are very strapped for fruit options, but they have to provide fruit. A lot of the fresh fruit that they purchase for kids go to waste. Probably, I think 70-80%. It's a huge amount. And so we're able to provide a solution where whether they eat it that day, 6 months from now, it doesn't really make a difference. They're getting the nutrition, they're getting what is real fruit, just in a portable format. And then that way, this in terms of sustainability, we could really reduce the amount of food waste that occurs. So we do talk a lot about that, especially in certain channels like food service for K-12 school systems, et cetera. But in general, yeah, that's kind of definitely part of our mission is the sustainability factor.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the whole K-12 because I did read, that you were really fulfilling that need because your products are not only allergy friendly, but they're vegan, they're gluten free, and they're really, able to be in a place where you have a large group of children who are dealing with various issues. So it's kind of
Yep.
safe all the way around the board, which is great, as we're trying to navigate that, moving ahead about different allergies and what people can and cannot eat depending on maybe even, their cultural, religious background and things like that. So when we're talking about your product, you have said many times it's shelf stable. If there's only two ingredients in my fruit bar, how are you pulling that off?
That's kind of our magic a little bit. So I can't go into too much detail, but I can assure you that there are only those two ingredients. They're both fruit and we don't use preservatives.
And it's just magically lives on my shelf for 12 months. Okay,
That's,
I'll let you
yeah.
slide with that one. I don't fully understand it myself. But again, I did taste it. It was delicious. So, we'll go with that. Okay, so I did mention a little bit ago about your marketing that I really felt your brand was so strong that visually I remembered almost immediately where I was introduced to you, which was kind of crazy, right? So tell me how much does like storytelling play into your product and your brand and your marketing?
Quite a bit. We're especially when you're dealing with consumers that are just meeting you for the first time on a shelf. You're not there to really tell your story. So we actually, you mentioned the packaging. We really leaned into the packaging to really be able to tell that story for us. We really intentionally wanted to make it simple, just to be kind of aligned with the fact that we're only two ingredients and to really kind of talk about that. But storytelling is obviously a big part of it. There's so many products on the shelf, and especially in the bar aisle, if you go there, in the nutrition bar aisle, being able to decipher one from the other is very difficult. So you have, those couple of seconds as, consumers are scanning across the category or the shelf to really catch their eye and to have them understand who you are and what you offer. So we wanted to provide fruit front and center because that's who we are. We're fruit at the end of the day. And so we put that right at the top of the packaging. We wanted that fruit pattern to really kind of be fun and vibrant with all the different colors from fruit. And then we have that kind of white background to talk about that kind of cleanliness and health and stuff like that. So every element of our packaging was very, very intentional. And we took a lot of time kind of really running through it and trying to understand what were the key elements that we wanted to storytell from our packaging. So we find that we do a lot of that storytelling on the shelf. Of course, there's a lot of advertising that we do, whether it's digital or just kind of sampling out there. We find that getting the product into people's hands and then into their mouths is actually probably one of the most effective ways for us to be able to communicate, because you actually try the product. And oftentimes when people do try it, they really do love it. So we're very bullish on getting the product out there and into people's hands.
Well, that makes total sense considering you did start at farmers markets, so
Yep,
this is how
from the
if people
get-go.
try it, then they'll like it. And we eat with our eyes, right? If the product doesn't look good and smell good and then taste good, you're not going to sell anything ever. So,
That's right.
yeah. So, I mean, definitely we eat with our eyes first. So it's got to look good first. And your product does. So,
Thank you.
I had mentioned early on in our conversation that I was exposed to you through Daybreakers. So what has been partnerships with groups like that meant to you? And how do you find groups that you're interested in, I guess, promoting and exposing their audience to your product?
Yeah, we're very strategic about that in terms of trying to introduce product into people's lives when they could use it, right? So for you with the Daybreakers, being able to really incorporate that and start your day with something healthy. We also do a lot of races or marathons where people really need that kind of energy, that pick me up, or even the anti-inflammatory properties that you get from cherries or bananas for potassium. So we really try to think about how we can kind of meet you as a consumer in your lifestyle where you can really kind of utilize the product. We have different types of products. We have some with energy that comes from real caffeine from real coffee. We've got probiotic bars. So we have different functionality where we can really kind of serve different function for different daytime parts. And when we go about trying to introduce people to those products, we really try to find them where in their natural habitat where they could actually utilize that.
Yeah, and so you mentioned marathoner, so I will tell you I'm also a runner and a marathoner.
Okay.
And yes, I have traveled with the bars as well in my little running patch, my little running
Yep.
pouch. Because you're right, as you're running and you need food, you're like, what am I going to do? Carry a banana
Yep.
with me? It's
Much
not
more
going to work.
portable.
Okay, so with the product being out there and you're making these partnerships and everything, is there any place in the marketplace now that you're looking to maybe expand or grow your product line? Is there anything that you and your team are saying, you know what, we think that we would be able to fulfill this need? And I'm asking specifically because I have a huge problem with all of the energy drinks that are out on the market, and I would really like you to create something healthy. Can you do that for me?
Already done. So I kind of alluded to it. So we have a mini bar that's fruit based, but that has 100 milligrams of caffeine from organic coffee. So I believe there's like 5 or 6 ingredients in the product. So, again, it stays true to kind of that clean energy aspect. But we looked at a lot of data and a lot of market research in terms of the energy space. Obviously, it's a very, very big space. There's a lot of demand for energy, but it's typically in a beverage format. What we wanted to do was create a more snackable version that's much cleaner, and the energy source actually is real. It comes from real caffeine, from real coffee. So we came up with this idea. We knew coffee in general has been growing in terms of demand, and so we kind of blended those two categories and found a sweet spot to be able to deliver quite a bit of caffeine in a very portable small package that's very clean. So we're very excited about that product line. We think that people who are looking for a cleaner version now have that option without having to deal with, a cold or warm beverage spilling. You could, talking about marathoners, you can take that as an energy source as well and not have to have a coffee before you go on a run. So there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize the product. And so we're constantly going out to different demographics with that. Because energy is such a huge category and there's so much breadth to it and so many different people that want it for different reasons. So, but we think that, there's a lot of expansion available with this product line as well.
Well, that sounds like a good idea to me because this is what you can do that. You can eat your energy bar and then, oh my God, new concept, drink a glass of water with it.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
we're just like, water, what's that? It must be,
Yep.
blue or red in a bottle for me to consume it. But again, that was just my personal pet peeve because I am so against those even being marketed to children and it just, makes me insane. So thank you for reading my mind, already creating the product. I will be looking for it. I'm very excited. Okay.
No,
So,
absolutely.
this has been such a great discussion. And I think I really do feel like you've made it sound a little too easy. But apparently you did figure it all out early on. I don't know. You went to medical school. You're a smart guy. But just give my listening audience now, a tip, if there's an entrepreneur that's out there and they have this idea they've been like thinking about in their bathroom, I don't know, when they're in the shower, and they're like, I don't know, I think I could do that or create that. Give us some, tips for this entrepreneur out there that's thinking of starting a business.
Sure. Persistence. You don't give up. You're going to hear a lot of no's, especially in the beginning. So you definitely need to learn to kind of take the blows and just kind of grow some thick skin pretty early on. So that way you just keep on going. And if you really believe in the product or the concept, you just got to push forward with it. Sometimes it takes a little longer than, other times. But again, I mentioned it earlier on. Being able to pivot is a huge, huge asset. Keeping an open mind to, maybe this product needs to be tweaked a little bit, or this idea needs to go in a slightly different direction. You need to be able to be open to that because oftentimes things are going to come and make you shift a little bit. And at least from what I've seen, those companies that have been able to adapt to whether it's trends that are happening, especially in food, or various outside forces, the easier it'll be for you to be able to kind of absorb that, but also accelerate out of that. So I think those are some of the keys in terms of just really being able to start out from scratch, from the beginning, and give yourself the best chance for success, really, at the end.
Yeah, and as with anything, simplicity is best. So don't overthink the whole
That too.
process.
That
Start
too.
simple. It has been a joy speaking to you. But before we go,
Likewise.
please tell everyone listening where they can find That's It online because I know they want to go try it now. Because
Sure.
I
So you
just
can
told them it's delicious.
you can find it on our website, that'sitfruit.com, or Amazon, as well as most of the national retailers out in the country.
Well, it has been delightful speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I am excited.
Likewise.
Like I said, when I saw that it was a product I already knew, I was like, this is pretty cool. I'm excited to let other people know about this. So, Lior, thank you for speaking with us. It was so much fun talking to you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for the time.